All will be explained. Just follow me.
There better be some dwarven forge in there.
Hello, I'm Margaret Borchert. I am the co-creator, writer, director, executive producer of The Party, and I am here with Nabila Hossain, who plays DM. Say hi.
Hi. Hi.
I have a ton of questions for you, and so I think we should just go ahead and get started. The first one being that you were born in Bangladesh, you grew up in Boston, and then you did a stint in Chicago really quickly to film Brown Girls, which was your first web series, and then you moved to Los Angeles.
That's right.
That is an insane journey. So how did all of these moves come about, and what made your final stop so far, LA?
What a good question. What a great opportunity to tell a life story. Okay, this is lovely. I'm going to try to do it in 5 sentences. I was born in Bangladesh. My family won the diversity lottery to come to the United States. You did not know that? I know. We moved to Boston. If you know the area, I grew up in Cambridge.
Oh, cool. Whereabouts in Cambridge?
In North Cambridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. I went to school in Boston, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I love everything about Cambridge and Boston. Love it. We're already in sentence 9. Okay, rewind. Chicago happened because I got the opportunity to act in an incredible web series, another incredible web series, called Brown Girls, and we shot that for 2 weeks in Chicago, and so that was the only stint that was there. And then within I think 2 weeks of the trailer dropping, I had 2 phone calls from Los Angeles asking if I would consider acting professionally.
Wow.
I know.
That's crazy. That's like the Hollywood dream right there.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a dream. And it was upon moving to LA to figure that out that I realized this was a dream. And that is what so many people want even. And there are auditions that people will spend like years just trying to get and not even have the access to unless they get these invitations. So I'm not knowing in the beginning, it's like when you get a Lamborghini when you're 16, you're like, no, you don't deserve the Lamborghini right now. And that's kind of how I felt. But then when I came to LA a few years ago, I taught myself a lot of what the industry was like, the craft was like, and exactly what I was getting myself into.
Yeah. How did you end up finding out about The Party?
Oh, I'll tell you. Diogo Hausen, who's a really good friend of mine, he sent me the invitation that the Ruby, which is a improv group in LA, sent him. And he said to me, he said, Nabs, I can't fill out the descriptions on this, but I think you should consider auditioning. And I didn't know what role he was suggesting that I audition for, but I looked through it and every single character, listen, I was like, I could play all of them. Dress me up. You know what I mean? Pull me, if I need to be taller, maybe just pull on me on either direction. I was ready. And not that I imagined Jean to be tall, but they were just so fun. You couldn't help but want to be all of them. So I asked for an audition.
Amazing. And I know that you didn't originally audition for DM, so can you tell the audience who did you audition for and what made you want to tape for DM?
I auditioned for Viola, and there were 2 scenes, and in one of the scenes, there were 4 lines in that DM had that was on either end of the audition sides. And in those 4 lines, I knew that DM was spastic. She was about her own work. She even her apology was like a full stop sentence. Okay, it didn't come with any sort of empathy. No, it was just like, I'm sorry about the noise last night. And then she continues to share that her friend had just dealt a death blow on a dragon he's been tracking for months. And I was like, she doesn't care. Violet doesn't care. You called to say I'm sorry. Say I'm sorry. And then in the next line she goes, did you see my notebook? It's like, this chick knows exactly what she's about and she does not care about anyone else. But you can tell she has some empathy in her spirit. She said sorry in one sentence. So I loved her. I was like, this feels a lot closer to me in my natural sort of personality. And I said, let me ask.
Well, I mean, I'm so glad you did because I think that we ended up with a really wonderful DM in you. And we watched your audition tape for Viola and went like, I mean, she's good. We like her. But I wonder like if she would be a better DM. And then we went back to your original email where you mentioned, I would also be interested in taping for DM if you're still looking for someone for her. And we were like, we are still looking for someone for DM. Okay. And so we asked you about it and you turned in a great tape and we were like, well, all right, here we go. Let's do it. So Capital City Soul on Twitter wanted to ask, what was your introduction to D&D before making the party?
None. None. I did not know what D&D stood for. I had to look it up. And then I found out through my own network that I have two friends who play, one who DMs and one who has been playing for a couple of years. And both of them had the same kind of reaction that everyone on this set had, which was like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell you more. And I said, wait, let's just start off with the intro. I don't want the more. I want the basic. So I did the research after I had received not even received the audition, after I had received the part. You guys were very quick in how you cast it. So I think we found out within 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, we were on a really tight schedule at that point and had to be like, let's just go. And so once we found a person that we like really liked, it was immediately like, let's see if they're available, let's contact them and let's keep going.
That's right.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? It's so interesting because you had no context for Dungeons and Dragons whatsoever. How did you prepare to play the part of the DM, who's one of the most experienced players at the table,
That's right.
given the fact that you have no experience with tabletop games?
I just want to say that I felt very tricked. And I say that because I believe I don't know when I let you know that I had absolutely no idea what D&D was about. But I remember I told myself, Nabila, you have good ethics. You told her early. So I remember it was early in the game. And you looked at me without any hesitation and said, you're going to be fine. And so with that confidence, I took, and we had to, because it was shot within 2 weeks, we had to sort of work in between the shooting episode. So we would shoot, we'd go home and prepare for the next day and the next shooting. So aside from the lines, in terms of what her backstory was and what those words actually meant, okay? Dwarven Forge? Listen. So I don't even think I knew what that word was until I got to that day on set, because there's only so much you can do. And I let down all my guards and I looked around and I said, can you pronounce this word? What is this? And from my director to my writers to my producers and everyone on the crew just kept yelling the same phrase, and all of them pronounced it differently. Listen. All I wanted were good instructions. Anyway, so that's how I just kind of went with it, you know. And I learned along the way. The only thing I did know is that she cared a lot about her people.
That's true.
And she cared a lot about the game. Mm-hmm. And she just came out of a horrible heartbreak.
Yeah.
That did it for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really was like the key to DM's character, was that like it's her passion for it and her love of it, and also that like insecurity that comes from that kind of heartbreak that was really the key for her character, more than like, obviously D&D is like a really important part of her life, but you can sort of memorize the words Dwarven Forge, but being able to access that emotion was so important.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Because she came with a box to get that thing. And so that thing, that map, that 3D physical map.
I'm proud of you. Good job. You've done your research.
That's right.
Going into that, what was your favorite scene to film?
Probably the date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the cafe.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Even though there was a lot of mosquitoes.
There were mosquitoes. That's right. Those mosquitoes were. We were so ready,
Yeah.
and they just came in
Yeah.
and they said, "Nope, we're going to make you feel like you're not." And we said, "No, but that was a scene that we shot. I think only really a few times.
Yeah.
Most of the show was shot with only a few takes.
Yeah.
And that really is, to me, one of the most impressive things about this project. And we just were able to deliver what we needed to in those 2 shots. And you said, okay, we're going to keep it moving. And for the date, it felt so good. We had the least amount of instructions, I think. And I did it per my audition, which was just like still insecure and still curious and sensitive and affected. And then you gave me the instruction that was like, no, just genuinely ask her why. I think that was your instruction. And to me, in that moment, it felt like if I were to genuinely ask, it would be more like, but have you seen me? Have you watched me do the things I've been doing? Do you know my habits? Why?
Yeah.
And that's what ended up making it. And it was so funny.
Yeah.
And so I thank you for that. And I don't know if that's what you wanted.
No,
or
it was
is
exactly
genuine?
what we wanted, because it's like, it is about, like, that's, I think, really the moment where DM's insecurities come to fruition and, like, come out openly. Like, we see some of it in the previous episode where we have the vignettes that Viola's talking to the professor about, and DM, like, comes running up to the table and is like, you guys are having fun, right? And so that's, like, a view of her insecurities. But, like, I think that there's something very real about someone who's insecure and someone else coming up to them and being like, I like you, and the very real reaction of, like, why would anyone do that?
Yeah. Good luck.
We're going to be back next week with Nabila, chatting a little bit more about her experiences with Dungeons & Dragons and the rest of her experiences on the party. So tune in.